Hey, it's Rob. I'm here to show you the distributive property, one of the 10 properties like commutative and associative. You've actually done the distributive property before. You've done it in elementary school, and you've done it, to go over your numerical expressions and easier ways to do things instead of always using like the algorithm that many of us adults were taught. There are other ways to do things that could be easier, like 5 times 15. Now, we're in a base 10 number system, meaning we put things into groups of 10 and then we move to the next place value. So this is great for place value. When you have 10 tens, you move to the next place value, which is 100. So if I was going to do 5 times 15 in what you guys would call mental math, I would break up the 15 into two numbers that would be easier to multiply. And I like to stick with, again, we're in base 10 number system. So let's break up 15 into 10 plus what? 5, right. And then that's still 15. I'm still multiplying by 15, but I'll do it in pieces. I'll do 5 times 10, and I'm going to write the answer in this box, which is 50. This is called the area model because it's the length times the width. The next length of 5 times the next width of 5 makes an area, which I'm going to write in the box, of 25. And everything in the box comes to 75. And that's distributive property in elementary school. Let's do that one more time. So like 2 times 3.5. I mean, we know how to do this in the calculator, and Mrs. Roberts is a big use the calculator teacher. Okay? When in doubt, use the calculator. But just to practice some basic skills and to go over distributive property, I can break 3.5 into 3.5. If I have 2 3s, that would be 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Half of 2, of means times also, is 1. All together, because these are like terms, 6 and 1, make a total of 7. 2 times 3.5 is 7. And that's doing it elementary school style. Now we're going to bring it up to middle school. Middle school gets to be a little fruity. So right here I have a fruit basket. And remember when I was doing simplifying expressions, I asked you, tell me, what do you see? I see a basket with an apple and 2 bananas. So we're going to do distributive property. We're going to distribute this. So I would like to do, let's say, I'm going to give you 3 of means. I'm going to give you 3 of these fruit baskets. And I hope I copied it already because that would stink. I was going to copy this cool new feature I tried out here on Cami. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to copy it. So I press the copy button. So I need 3 of these fruit baskets, and I want you to simplify that for me. Simplify means to summarize what you see. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it. Does my Control-V work? Yes, it does. I'm going to move it over, though. So I pasted it, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm probably going to have to move it down nice and slides nice. That works out well. All right, so I have 3 of my fruit baskets. So what do you see? If you summarize it, instead of saying 3 baskets, because that's one way to say it, I can say I have 3 baskets of fruit. Or you could tell me what's inside the baskets. There are 3 of the apples, right? 1, 2, 3. Yep, I see 3. And how many bananas? 1, 2, 4, 6. 6 of the bananas. Okay? They're the same thing. Distributive property is writing something that's equivalent. 3 fruit baskets is the same as 3 apples and 6 bananas. So if I was to undo all that, well, let's see. This is what it would look like in 7th grade. You're not going to draw those pictures, but the pictures help. not everything has to be so hard. You don't have to think of it as an X. You can think of it as a xylophone. You don't have to think of it as an A. You can think of it as an apple. So I'll try to erase this a little faster. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll try my eraser button. It's drawing instead. Anybody got time for this? Come on. I just wanted to show. Okay, so I don't need to erase all that. I just want to go over it in terms of how the boring way it looks in 7th grade. You can make stuff look not boring. So 3 fruit baskets in 7th grade might look like this. That was supposed to be a plus sign. Got a little bit of a delay here. That doesn't look good. Pause this video. It didn't pause. Guess what? The pause actually worked. I did the entire lesson 2 hours ago, only to realize half of it's gone. So I think I left off here. I had 3 fruit baskets, and I was showing you how it was going to be in 7th grade. The pictures won't be there, but you can draw the pictures. An A will be there for an apple, and 2B for 2 bananas. I have 3 groups, and when something's in a group, in math, it's parentheses. And since I'm going to do the area model, I just drew the rectangle directly under the parentheses. I separated into 2 sections because there's 2 terms. There's the apples and the bananas, 2 separate terms, and there's 3 of them, 3 times that group. I scribble out that 3 and rewrite it on the width side of the rectangle. And then hopefully you can see my cursor. 3 times A is 3A. 3 apples is 3 apples. 3 groups of 2 bananas is 6 bananas. I cannot add them together because apples and bananas are 2 different things. I'm not making a smoothie. It's just 3 apples and, as in plus, 6 bananas. So there's the basics. Let's try something from today's actual homework. And again, there's an example up here. It's 3 times the quantity. Quantity means a group, parentheses, x plus 2y. Distributive property is when you multiply through the parentheses, and inside the parentheses either a sum or a difference. It doesn't matter if it's the difference or sum, because even if it's subtraction, I can rewrite it as addition. Because if you remember from my guitar video, subtraction's adding the opposite. Okay, so I drew a basket around it so you can kind of pretend like it's the whole fruit thing, except I can't think of fruit for X and Y. So I would just say, to think of it as something physical that I can touch, I have 3 groups of a xylophone and 2 yo-yos. So if I have 3 baskets of a xylophone with 2 yo-yos, I actually have 3 xylophones and 6 yo-yos. Makes sense, right? So not everything's going to be nice whole numbers. We might have fractions, so let's do the one with fractions. Looking at question 3. Remember that subtraction's adding the opposite, so that minus can be changed to adding, and the opposite of positive 12 is a negative 12. So I have 2 terms in the parentheses. I have a C and a negative 12, so I have my rectangle separated into 2 sections. And on the outside of the parentheses, the negative 2/3 is the thing that's being distributed, so I've written that down as the width. And believe it or not, even though negative 2/3 times C sounds difficult, the answer is the same as the question. It's negative 2/3 times C. Make sure you write the letter either next to the numerator or in the middle of the line. Next to the numerator is probably even better. I can't put that in the calculator because I can't put a letter in the calculator. Anything times the unknown letter is just going to be the same thing written again. When you don't know the answer, you rewrite what you had. Now, on the next part, I'm multiplying 2 numbers or 2 constants. I could totally put that in the calculator, negative 2/3 times a negative 12. I'm just going to go off to the side and review a little bit of elementary school stuff. So multiplying fractions from elementary school, negative 2/3 times negative 12 Remember, a whole number can be written as over 1. Remember from chapter 1, when the signs are the same, as in both negative, the answer will be positive. I multiply across, or I simplify or divide up and down. This divide line is in between the negative 12 and the 3. 3 goes into itself once and into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. I already took care of the double negative, making a positive. There is a positive 8. This over here this is a C. This is a variable. I can call them cupcakes if I want. This is an 8. It's a constant. It's always 8. It doesn't change. There's no other letters changing it. So they're not like terms. So you cannot add the negative 2/3 and the C. So the answer is, again, when you can't do something, you just rewrite it. It's negative 2/3, cupcakes, and an 8. And I got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to highlight that answer there. If you cannot do it, you'll copy it. If you cannot, you'll copy. I cannot, so I copied. Can't simplify it anymore. That's as simple as it goes. Most common mistake is by the time we're done distributing, people add things that got no business being added. Okay, only like terms together. So I'm going to move to number 9, just because it's got some negatives in there. People normally get a little shy when it comes to negatives. I got a negative 5y times the quantity, 6z minus 10. So I'm going to distribute the negative 5y. So I rewrote it on the width. I have 2 terms inside the parentheses. I have a 6z and a negative 10. Another common mistake is that students forget to write the negative. They just drop it. So that's why I always suggest a chain subtraction to adding the opposite. It makes it stick out, and then you won't forget it. Now, again, you can't put the y and the z in the calculator, but there's nothing stopping you from doing negative 5 times 6, which is negative 30. And y times z, remember, if you can't do it, you copy it. It's y times z. Another correct answer would be z times y, because multiplication is commutative. 2 times 3 and 3 times 2, y times z and z times y, they are the same thing. Just using some numbers as an example to help you understand. Notice that I wrote the z with a line in it. It's important that you do that so it doesn't get confused with the number 2. And then negative 5y times negative 10. Again, go ahead and use the calculator. Put negative 5 times negative 10 in there. The signs are the same, so the answer will be positive. You get a 50. You can't put the y in the calculator. If you do, you'll end up with a wrong answer. If you're telling me, yeah, I can put a letter in, you can, but you'll get a wrong answer because that letter is going to represent some kind of number and everyone will have a different number on their calculator. So don't do it. Don't put the letter in the calculator. You're going to write the letter yourself. Okay? Negative 5y times a negative 10 is a positive 50y. Now, they both have the letter y, but they're not like terms because one's a yz. It's got a little extra flavor, and the other one doesn't. So we don't combine them. That is as simple as it gets. Negative 30 yz, like the bike, yz, into motocross, plus the 50y. Okay, and that